The afternoon felt ordinary in the quietest way. Sunlight slid through the trees, dappling the cracked sidewalk as she walked home, earbuds low, mind drifting between school worries and what to make for dinner. The neighborhood was calm, too calm to remember later as anything special. That's when she noticed the puppy. It sat near the curb, impossibly small, its fur dusty and uneven, ribs rising and falling too fast. At first she smiled, taking a step closer, thinking it was lost. But the puppy didn't wag its tail. It didn't run to her. Instead it shifted, placing its tiny body squarely in front of a small cardboard box. When she moved left, the puppy moved left. When she crouched, it barked, not loud but urgent. Its legs trembled. Its eyes never left her hands. "Hey, it's okay," she whispered, heart softening, confusion blooming. The puppy lowered its head, then leaned forward, nose brushing the box, whining like a plea. It wasn't guarding out of fear. It was guarding out of purpose. She reached out slowly, palm open. The puppy blocked her again, pressing itself harder against the box, tail tucked, breath shaky. Her stomach tightened. Why would something so young stand its ground like that? Around them the world kept moving, cars passing, a door closing somewhere, leaves scraping the pavement. But in that small circle of space, time stretched thin. The puppy's eyes glistened, and for a moment, she felt it watching her back, not the other way around. She pulled her hand away, swallowing. Whatever was in that box mattered. But what the puppy sensed was far from ordinary. Before we continue, remember to like, share, and subscribe for more heart-touching dog stories. And tell me, where are you watching from? The afternoon didn't feel important. It was the kind of day that slipped by without asking to be remembered. Light clouds drifted lazily across a pale blue sky, softening the sun just enough to keep the heat gentle. The air smelled faintly of cut grass and warm pavement. Somewhere down the street, a lawn sprinkler ticked back and forth, steady and patient. She walked home at an unhurried pace, backpack slung over one shoulder, earbuds resting loose, not really playing anything she needed to hear. Her thoughts wandered between unfinished homework, the quiet ache of being tired in that specific teenage way, and what might be left in the fridge when she got home. Nothing dramatic. Nothing special. Her sneakers scuffed lightly against the sidewalk as she passed familiar houses, white fences, mailboxes leaning just a little to one side, curtains fluttering behind open windows. A car passed. A screen door slammed somewhere behind her. Life continued, uninterrupted. She almost didn't notice the puppy. At first it was just a shape near the curb. Small. Still. She slowed without realizing why. There, beside an overgrown patch of weeds, sat a puppy no bigger than a loaf of bread. Its fur was a dull mix of brown and white, dusty and uneven, like it had been sleeping outdoors for days. One ear stood halfway up. The other flopped forward, uncertain. It wasn't playing. It wasn't running. It wasn't even wagging its tail. It sat directly in front of a small cardboard box. The box looked ordinary. Light brown. Slightly crushed at the corners. No markings. No tape. Just there. As if someone had set it down and forgotten it existed. She took a step closer. The puppy moved. Not toward her. In front of the box. Its little body shifted sideways, placing itself squarely between her and whatever was inside. Its head lowered. Its paws spread just a little wider against the concrete. She stopped. The puppy let out a short bark. Not loud. Not angry. Urgent. Its tail stayed low, barely moving. Its chest rose and fell too fast, breath fluttering in and out like it was trying to calm itself and failing. "Oh," she murmured, pulling one earbud free. Hey there." Her voice was gentle. Automatic. She crouched down slowly, keeping her hands visible, palms open the way adults always told her to do around animals. The puppy's eyes followed every inch of her movement. Dark eyes. Wide. Watching. When she leaned slightly to the left, trying to see around it, the puppy shuffled left too. Blocking. Her brows knit together. "It's okay," she said softly. "I'm not gonna hurt you." The puppy didn't growl. It didn't snap. Instead, it pressed its body closer to the box behind it, as if trying to make itself bigger. Its back legs trembled. Its nose dipped down, brushing the cardboard, then lifted again toward her. A small strained whine slipped out. Her heart tightened in response. Not fear, but something closer to confusion mixed with concern. "Are you lost?" she asked, barely above a whisper. She glanced up and down the street. No leash. No owner. No open doors nearby. Just quiet houses and a puppy guarding a box like it was the most important thing in the world. She reached out a little, not toward the puppy but toward the box, slow, cautious. The puppy reacted instantly. It stepped forward again, paws scraping against the sidewalk, letting out another sharp bark. Louder this time. Its ears pinned back. Its body curved protectively, forming a barrier that felt deliberate. She froze. Her hand hovered in the air. "Okay," she said quickly. "Okay. I get it." She pulled her hand back. The puppy didn't relax. It stayed exactly where it was, standing guard. Her pulse thudded softly in her ears. She could feel the moment shifting, stretching, becoming heavier than it should have been. This wasn't just a scared animal. This wasn't a puppy waiting for food or comfort. This was responsibility. Instinct. She sank back onto her heels, giving the puppy space. From this angle she noticed more details. The way its ribs showed faintly beneath its fur. The small nick in one ear. The dirt smudged along its legs. Too young to be alone. Too young to be this determined. "What are you doing out here?" she murmured. The puppy didn't answer. It only glanced back at the box, just once, then returned its gaze to her, eyes shiny, unblinking, like it was asking her something, or testing her. A breeze passed through, lifting a scrap of paper down the street. The sound of distant traffic hummed low. Somewhere nearby, a dog barked behind a fence. The world kept moving, but she stayed still. She felt it then, that quiet sense that something wasn't right. Not dangerous, not frightening, just important. She swallowed. "All right," she said gently. "I won't touch it." The puppy's shoulders eased barely. It didn't move away. It didn't step aside. It simply stayed, guarding, waiting. And as she sat there on the warm concrete, watching the smallest protector she'd ever seen, she had the sudden, unshakable feeling that whatever was inside that box mattered more than either of them understood yet. She didn't know why. She just knew it was true. And moments later, everything would begin to change. You have not enough humanizer words left. Upgrade your surfer plan. She stayed where she was, kneeling on the sidewalk, hands resting loosely on her thighs, letting the moment breathe. The puppy didn't take its eyes off her. Not for a second. Its body remained planted in front of the box, paws splayed slightly as if bracing against something invisible. The breeze lifted the fine hairs along its back, and she noticed how thin it really was. Too thin. Too light to be carrying this kind of responsibility. She shifted her weight. Slowly, the puppy stiffened again. Its ears twitched, one trying to stand tall, the other folding forward like it couldn't quite decide what to do. Its tail made a single uncertain movement. Not a wag, not a warning, then went still. "Okay," she murmured. "Okay. I see you." She leaned back a little, increasing the distance between them. The puppy's breathing slowed just a fraction. That told her everything. It wasn't scared of her. It was scared of losing something. A car rolled past at the end of the street, tires humming against asphalt. The puppy flinched, glancing toward the sound, then immediately back to the box, then back to her. Check, check, protect. She'd seen dogs before. Friendly ones, nervous ones, even aggressive ones. But this was different. There was no wildness in the puppy's eyes. No panic. Just focus. Care. She lowered herself fully onto the sidewalk, crossing her legs so she was no longer towering over it. The concrete was warm beneath her jeans. She could smell dust and grass and the faint sour edge of old cardboard. "Did someone leave you here?" she asked quietly. The puppy tilted its head. Not at her. The box. It nudged the cardboard gently with its nose, a careful, almost reverent touch, then repositioned itself again, body blocking it completely. Her chest tightened. "Oh," she breathed. She hadn't imagined it. The puppy wasn't guarding the box because it was afraid of her. It was guarding the box because it belonged to it, or because what was inside needed protection. She glanced around again, more urgently this time. The houses felt suddenly farther away. Windows reflected the sky, giving nothing back. No footsteps approached. No voices called out. Just her, the puppy, and the box. She reached into her backpack slowly, deliberately, narrating every movement the way she'd seen adults do. "I'm just grabbing some water," she said. "Okay." The puppy's eyes followed her hand, but it didn't bark. That felt like permission. She pulled out a half-full bottle and twisted the cap off. The plastic crackled softly. The puppy's ears flicked at the sound, but its paws stayed planted. She set the bottle down on the ground between them and nudged it gently closer. "There," she whispered. The puppy didn't move, didn't sniff, didn't drink. Its gaze flicked once toward the bottle, then back to the box. Chose the box. Again. Her throat tightened unexpectedly. "You're really serious about this," she murmured. She sat back, letting out a slow breath. Time stretched in a strange way, not rushing, not dragging, just hovering. She became aware of small details she might have missed otherwise. The way the puppy's whiskers trembled when it breathed. The faint scrape of its nails against the sidewalk when it adjusted its stance. The crease in the cardboard lid, slightly bowed inward, as if something inside pressed gently upward. She noticed that. Her heart skipped. She leaned forward just a little, eyes narrowing in focus. The puppy reacted immediately. A low, breathy whine slipped from its throat. Not a growl, not a bark. A warning made of worry. "I know," she said softly. "I know. I'm not touching it." She stayed still. The puppy watched her for a long moment. Then slowly, carefully, it shifted its weight back just an inch. Not away. Just less rigid. It sat right in front of the box, still blocking it, but no longer bracing for a fight. Her shoulders relaxed. "Thank you," she whispered, though she wasn't entirely sure why. The puppy's tail moved once more. A small hesitant sweep against the ground, then went still again. Its eyes drooped for half a second, exhaustion creeping in before snapping back open. It was tired. She could see that now. Whatever it had been doing, however long it had been sitting there, it had been doing it without rest, without food, without help. She felt a sudden fierce protectiveness rise in her chest. Not just for the puppy, for what the puppy was protecting. "I'm gonna help," she said quietly. "Okay. I just need to understand." The puppy didn't respond, but it didn't move either. Minutes passed, or maybe only seconds. The sun shifted slightly, casting a new shadow across the sidewalk. Somewhere close by, a door opened and closed. Life brushed past the edges of the moment, unaware. She inched a little closer, not toward the box but toward the puppy. She stopped well short of touching it, respecting the invisible boundary it had drawn. From this distance, she could see the faint rise and fall of the box lid. So slight she might have missed it if she weren't already paying attention. Her breath caught. She didn't move, didn't speak. She just watched. The puppy noticed her stillness and followed her gaze. For the first time, its eyes softened. Not relaxing, but trusting. Just a little. And in that quiet exchange, girl watching box, puppy watching girl, something settled into place. This wasn't about fear. It wasn't about territory. It was about duty. The smallest guardian she'd ever met had chosen its post. And no matter how tired it was, no matter how small it felt, the puppy wasn't going anywhere. She stayed longer than she meant to. At first, she told herself it was only for a minute. Just long enough to make sure the puppy wasn't hurt. Just long enough to decide what to do next. But minutes have a way of stretching when something doesn't sit right in your chest. She glanced at her phone. Still early. Her parents wouldn't be home for a while. No one would miss her yet. The puppy remained in place, sitting now, spine straight despite the tremble that came and went in its legs. Its eyes followed her whenever she shifted, but the edge of panic had dulled. Not gone, just held back. She exhaled slowly. Okay, she said, more to herself than to the puppy. Let's think. Her first instinct was simple. The puppy was probably abandoned. People left animals behind all the time. Boxes on sidewalks, notes taped to flaps, hoping someone kinder would come along. She'd heard the stories, seen them online. Maybe the box was empty, or maybe it held something sad. She swallowed. The puppy's behavior, the blocking, the refusal to move, could just be fear. Fear of another human walking away. Fear of losing the only thing it had left. That made sense. That explanation felt easier. I'm not going to leave you, she murmured, reaching slowly into her backpack again. This time she pulled out a granola bar, the wrapper crinkling softly. The puppy's ears flicked at the sound. Its nose lifted. For a split second, instinct betrayed duty. It leaned forward just a hair, sniffing. She smiled faintly. There we go, she whispered. You must be starving. She tore the wrapper open carefully and broke off a small piece, placing it on the ground several feet away. Far enough that the puppy wouldn't feel cornered. Close enough to smell. The puppy glanced at the food, then at the box, then back at her. Its jaw tightened. Its head lowered again. It didn't move. Her smile faded. Oh, she said quietly. She tried again, nudging the food a little closer. Still nothing. The puppy shifted its paws, digging in as if the concrete itself might steal the box if it let go for even a second. That's when she misunderstood. She thought the puppy was afraid to leave the box. Afraid that if it stepped away she would take it. Or someone else would. I'm not going to take it, she said gently. I promise. She gestured around them. I just want to help you. Both of you. The puppy didn't respond. Its gaze stayed locked on her hands. She sighed softly, running a hand through her hair. Maybe there's a note, she said, thinking aloud. Maybe someone left instructions. She leaned slightly toward the side of the box. Not the top, not the front, careful not to reach over it. The puppy reacted immediately. Not with noise, with movement. It stood up again, faster this time, stepping sideways to keep its body aligned with her. Its shoulder brushed the box, and she heard a faint sound from inside. A sound so small it barely existed. Her heart skipped. She froze. The puppy froze too, ears pricked now, eyes sharp. What was that? She whispered. She held her breath. Nothing followed. Just silence. Her pulse thudded louder in her ears. She shook her head slightly, trying to ground herself. Probably the cardboard shifting. Probably nothing. She forced a small laugh. Sorry, she said to the puppy. Didn't mean to scare you. She leaned back again, giving it space. The puppy watched her carefully. Then slowly it sat back down. Still guarding. Still unwavering. She pressed her lips together. Maybe she was overthinking it. Maybe the puppy was just anxious. Protective in the way animals sometimes were, even when there was nothing to protect. She'd read about dogs guarding toys, empty bowls, shadows. That had to be it. She glanced around the street again, weighing her options. She could call animal control. She could knock on doors. She could pick up the puppy and box together and bring them home. That thought made her stomach tighten. The puppy's stance told her that lifting the box, even gently, wouldn't go well. Not violently, but emotionally. She imagined the panic that would ripple through that small body if the ground disappeared beneath it. No, she murmured. Okay. Not that. She pulled her phone out and opened her contacts, thumb hovering over her mom's name. Then she hesitated. Something felt off. The puppy wasn't acting like an animal afraid of abandonment. It wasn't pacing. It wasn't crying for attention. It wasn't clinging to her leg or inching closer for comfort. It was stationed, like it had a job. Her eyes drifted back to the box. She studied it more closely now, the faint bow in the lid, the way the edges weren't fully closed, the small air gap along one side as if someone had made sure something inside could breathe. Her chest tightened again. She swallowed. You're not guarding nothing, she whispered. The puppy's gaze flicked to her face. Then slowly, it blinked. Once, deliberate, as if acknowledging the thought. She felt a strange warmth wash over her, mixed with unease. "Okay," she said quietly. "Okay. I hear you." But she didn't fully understand yet. Not completely. She was still trying to fit the situation into something familiar. Something safe. She was still misreading the warning. And the puppy, patient, tired, impossibly determined, stayed where it was, allowing her the time she needed. Just a little longer. 'Cause soon, she wouldn't be guessing anymore. The air felt different now. Heavier. Like the afternoon had leaned in closer to listen. She shifted her position again, slowly, careful not to startle the puppy. Her legs were beginning to ache from sitting on the concrete, but she ignored it. Discomfort felt unimportant compared to the quiet intensity radiating from the small body in front of her. The puppy hadn't relaxed. If anything, it seemed more alert. Its ears angled forward, catching sounds she barely noticed. The distant rumble of a truck, the scrape of shoes 2 houses down, the faint rustle of leaves overhead. Each noise triggered a small response. A glance. A stiffening. A subtle repositioning of its paws. Always back to the box. She noticed how its nose kept drifting toward the cardboard, touching it lightly, reassuring itself that everything was still there. Still safe. She took a slow breath. "All right," she whispered. "We'll do this the right way." She didn't know what the right way was, but instinct told her rushing would be a mistake. She scooted back a few inches, increasing the space between them, then stood slowly, keeping her movements smooth and predictable. The puppy tracked her the entire time, rising to its feet again, body angled protectively. "I'm just standing," she said softly. "That's all." She stepped to the side. The puppy mirrored her. She stopped. It stopped. A strange, quiet standoff settled between them. Not hostile. Not afraid. Just unresolved. She rubbed her arms lightly, noticing goosebumps rise despite the warm sun. Her gaze drifted to the box again, and this time she didn't look away. The lid moved. Not much. Just enough. A subtle lift. Then stillness. Her breath caught sharply in her throat. The puppy noticed. It turned its head, following her stare, then leaned forward, nose pressed firmly against the lid as if to hold it down. A soft, urgent whine slipped from its chest. "I saw that," she whispered. The words felt too loud. She lowered herself back to the ground, heart thudding now, every sense sharpened. She was no longer trying to solve a puzzle. She was reacting. Responding. Something inside that box was alive. The realization settled slowly, spreading through her like warmth and fear combined. She kept her distance. "I'm not going to open it," she said quickly. "Not yet. I promise." The puppy's breathing was fast again, chest fluttering. Its tail tucked tighter, but it didn't retreat. It pressed closer to the box, almost curling around it now, forming a living shield. A car passed closer this time. Too close. The puppy barked sharply, body bristling for the first time. Not aggressive, alert. Its head snapped toward the street, then back to the box, then back to her. Protect. Assess. Protect again. "It's okay," she murmured, though her own voice wavered slightly. "You're doing great. You're doing so good." The puppy glanced at her. Just for a second, then returned its focus to its post. She noticed something else then, the way the cardboard was damp in places, darkened slightly along the bottom edge. The smell hit her a moment later. Milk. Faint. Sour sweet. Her heart sank. "Oh," she breathed. She'd smelled that before. At shelters. At the vet. Around animals too young to be without their mothers. She swallowed hard. "You're not just guarding," she whispered. "You're waiting." The puppy shifted again, claws scraping softly against the concrete. Its movements were slower now. Fatigue weighed heavily on it, pulling at its small frame. Still it didn't sit. Didn't lie down. Didn't leave. She reached for her phone again, hands trembling just a little this time. She pulled up the emergency contact list, hesitating only a moment before selecting the local animal rescue number she'd saved months ago and never thought she'd need. The call rang. Once. Twice. The puppy barked again, louder now, at the sound of the ringing tone. It leaned harder into the box, whining urgently, eyes wide. "I know," she said quickly, lowering the phone. "I know. I'm sorry." She ended the call before it connected. Silence returned. She stared at the screen, heart pounding. Even that small sound had been too much. Too disruptive. Whatever was inside that box needed calm. Needed steadiness. She slipped the phone back into her pocket and placed both hands flat on the ground, palms down, grounding herself. "I'm here," she said softly. "I'm not leaving." The puppy's ears twitched at her words. It didn't look at her, but its breathing slowed just a little. Another movement from the box. This time unmistakable. A faint rustle. A tiny fragile sound, barely more than a breath. Her eyes filled instantly, vision blurring. She didn't wipe the tears away. She didn't speak. She just stayed. The puppy noticed the shift in her energy. It turned its head, studying her face with a seriousness that felt far too old for its small body. Its gaze lingered there longer this time. Then slowly it sat, not moving away, not stepping aside, just sitting, allowing. Her chest tightened painfully. "Thank you," she whispered again, voice breaking. "I won't mess this up." She inched closer, just a few inches, stopping well before crossing the line the puppy had drawn. From here, she could see the slight rise and fall beneath the cardboard, the gentle push from inside, like something searching for warmth. She covered her mouth with her hand. The puppy leaned forward, nose pressed to the box once more, then glanced at her. Its eyes were tired, trusting, still vigilant. The tension didn't break. Not yet. But it shifted, no longer sharp, no longer etched with doubt. Now it was waiting. Waiting for the moment when guarding would turn into something else. Something just as important. And she knew, without being told, that moment was coming soon. She waited. Longer than she thought she could. The sun drifted behind a thin veil of cloud, softening the light again, cooling the air just enough to raise goosebumps along her arms. The street sounds faded into a low, distant hum, like the world had decided to give them privacy. The puppy shifted closer to the box. Saturday, then finally lay down. Its body curled around the cardboard, chin resting on the edge, eyes still open, still watching. But exhaustion had finally won a small battle. Its breaths came slower now, deeper. That felt like permission. Not full trust, but a step. She moved carefully, every motion slow, predictable. She slid her backpack off her shoulder and set it on the ground, well away from the box. She took off her hoodie and folded it neatly, placing it beside her, ready. "I'm going to look," she whispered. The puppy's eyes opened wider. Its head lifted slightly, but it didn't stand. It didn't block her. It stayed where it was, nose touching the box, body pressed close like a final line of reassurance. She reached forward, not to open it yet, just to rest her fingertips against the cardboard. It was warm. That alone sent a shiver through her. Warm meant life. Warm meant breath. She swallowed hard and paused, letting her hand stay there so whatever was inside could sense her without being startled. "I'm right here," she murmured. "You're safe." The puppy let out a soft sound, not quite a whine. Something gentler, encouraging. She hooked her fingers under the edge of the lid, just a little. The cardboard resisted at first, bowed slightly inward, then lifted with a faint creak. She froze. Nothing moved. She lifted it another inch. Then she saw it. Inside the box, wrapped loosely in an old towel, was the smallest thing she had ever seen struggle to survive. A kitten. No two. No three. 3 tiny kittens pressed together in a trembling pile of fur and fragile warmth. Their eyes were still closed. Their ears folded flat against their heads. One of them stretched weakly, mouth opening in a silent cry, pink tongue barely visible. Her breath left her in a shaky rush. "Oh my God!" She clapped a hand over her mouth to stop the sound from breaking too loudly into the moment. They were so small. Too small to be alone. Their fur was damp in places, their bodies rising and falling unevenly. One kitten nudged blindly toward the edge of the towel, searching for something that wasn't there. Milk. Warmth. A mother. Her chest tightened painfully. She glanced at the puppy. It had lifted its head fully now, eyes fixed on the box. Not anxious. Watching. Waiting. You were protecting them, she whispered. The puppy didn't look at her. It leaned forward instead, gently sniffing the air above the kittens, careful not to touch them. Its tail made a slow, tentative sweep against the ground. Not excitement. Relief. She felt tears spill over, warm and unstoppable, blurring her vision. She wiped them away quickly, not wanting to miss a second. They're alive, she breathed. You kept them alive. The puppy let out a quiet, almost inaudible huff, then lowered its head again, resting its chin near the box, as if its job was nearly done, but not completely. She lifted the lid a little more, making sure the opening was wide enough for air but shaded enough to keep the warmth inside. She could smell the milk more clearly now, and something else. Time. These kittens hadn't been here long, but long enough. She pulled her hoodie closer and gently draped it over part of the box, creating a soft barrier from the breeze without closing it off. The kittens squirmed faintly, one letting out a tiny, broken sound that barely qualified as a meow. Her heart broke open. Hey, she whispered. Hey, little ones. The puppy flinched at the sound, then relaxed again, reassured by her tone. It watched her hands carefully, every movement measured against instinct. She didn't touch the kittens. Not yet. She knew better. They were too young. Too fragile. Heat mattered more than handling. She looked around the street again, suddenly aware of how exposed they were. How vulnerable. Passing car. A curious stranger. A sudden change in weather. This wasn't just a moment anymore. It was a responsibility. She pulled out her phone again. Slowly this time, and typed instead of calling, keeping the screen dim, movements quiet. She messaged her mom first. Found something. Can't leave. Need help. Then the local rescue. 3 newborn kittens in a box. With a puppy guarding them. Need guidance. She slipped the phone away and turned her full attention back to the puppy. You stayed with them, she said softly. All this time. The puppy shifted closer to her inch by inch until their shoulders nearly touched. It didn't look at her face. It watched the box. Shared duty. She felt something settle deep in her chest. Awe, gratitude. Something almost sacred. The idea that this puppy, barely more than a baby itself, had chosen to protect lives that weren't its own. She reached out slowly and rested her hand on the ground near its paw. Not touching. Just there. The puppy glanced down. Then carefully, it placed its paw against her fingers. Light. Brief. Promise. She held her breath, afraid to break the spell. Outside their small circle, the world resumed its noise. A distant siren. A door slamming. Footsteps approaching somewhere far off. Inside it, there was only warmth. 3 fragile heartbeats. And a puppy who had refused to move. Because love, even when it doesn't understand itself, knows exactly what to do. Help arrived quietly. Not with sirens. Not with flashing lights. Just a familiar car pulling up slowly at the curb, tires crunching softly over loose gravel. Her mom stepped out first, eyes already scanning the scene, reading the tension before a single word was spoken. She raised a hand. A silent signal. Please be calm. Please don't rush. Her mom nodded immediately and slowed her steps, movements careful, respectful. Behind her, a woman from the local animal rescue followed, carrying a small insulated carrier and a folded blanket, her expression gentle and focused. The puppy noticed the change instantly. It stood, not barking, not panicking, just standing, body angled, ears forward, assessing the newcomers with the seriousness of a seasoned guardian. It's okay, the girl whispered. They're here to help. The puppy glanced at her, held her gaze, then returned its focus to the box. Still guarding, the rescue worker crouched several feet away, keeping her voice low. "Hey there," she said softly. "You've done such a good job." The words weren't loud, but they carried weight. The puppy's tail moved once, slow, unsure. The girl felt her breath shake as she explained everything in short, careful sentences. The box, the kittens, the guarding, how the puppy hadn't left them for a moment. No one interrupted. No one questioned. They could see it for themselves. The rescue worker nodded, eyes warm. "All right," she said. "We'll do this together." She set the carrier down gently and opened it, lining the inside with the blanket. Then she looked to the girl. "You stay close," she said. "You're part of this now." The girl swallowed and nodded. They moved slowly. Every action announced. Every motion measured. The rescue worker lifted the box lid just enough to check the kitten's breathing and warmth, then glanced at the puppy. The puppy leaned forward, nose hovering just above the kitten's, as if memorizing their scent. A soft sound escaped its throat. Not distress. Reluctance. "I know," the girl whispered, placing her hand on the ground beside it again. "They'll be okay." The rescue worker reached in carefully, hands steady and practiced, lifting the kittens together in the towel, keeping them pressed close so they wouldn't lose heat. The puppy stood taller, stepped forward once, stopped. It looked at the girl again. She nodded, tears sliding silently down her cheeks. "You did your job," she said. "They're safe now." The puppy hesitated, then slowly stepped back. Just enough. The kittens were placed gently into the carrier, wrapped snugly, the blanket tucked just right. One tiny mouth opened again, letting out the faintest sound. Alive. Safe. The puppy watched the carrier intently, body trembling now, not from fear, but from the release of something it had been holding too tightly for too long. When the carrier door closed softly, the puppy let out a long breath. Its legs wobbled. The girl reacted instantly, sliding closer, steadying without touching too much. The puppy sat heavily, exhaustion finally claiming its small frame. "You're okay," her mom said gently, kneeling beside them. "You're okay now." The rescue worker turned her attention to the puppy, scanning quickly. "He's young," she murmured. "Undernourished. But strong." She smiled faintly. "Very strong." The girl laughed through her tears. "I think he saved them," she said. The rescue worker didn't correct her. She simply nodded. They moved the carrier into the car first, securing it carefully. The puppy watched the entire time, head tracking every step, ears flicking at each sound. When the trunk closed, it whined softly. The girl's heart clenched. "They're just going to the vet," she said quickly. "They'll come back." The puppy looked up at her, eyes searching. Then it leaned forward and pressed its forehead lightly against her knee. Trust. Complete. She rested her hand gently on its back for the first time, fingers barely sinking into warm fur. The puppy sighed deep and full and leaned into the touch. Her mom smiled, eyes shining. "Looks like you've been chosen." The ride to the clinic was quiet. The puppy curled on the back seat, head resting against the girl's leg, falling asleep almost instantly. Deep. Unguarded. No more boxes. No more watching. Just rest. At the clinic, the kittens were taken inside first, the rescue worker promising updates, promising care. The puppy watched them disappear through the doors, then looked back at the girl. She stayed. She always stayed. The vet checked the puppy gently, confirming what they already knew: dehydration, hunger, exhaustion. But nothing broken. Nothing lost. As they left, the sun dipped lower in the sky, painting the clouds in soft gold and pink. The day felt changed now. Marked. The girl looked down at the puppy walking beside her, leash loose, steps tentative but hopeful. "You're not alone anymore," she whispered. The puppy wagged its tail. Just once. Small. Certain. The rescue hadn't been loud or dramatic, but it had been enough. Because sometimes saving a life doesn't look like heroics. Sometimes, it looks like a puppy finally letting go. Healing didn't happen all at once. It arrived quietly, in small, ordinary moments that didn't announce themselves as important until later. The puppy slept for most of the first day, curled into a tight ball on a blanket her mom spread across the living room floor. The house felt different with him in it, softer somehow. The usual sounds seemed muted, like everyone instinctively knew to keep their voices low. The puppy's breathing evened out as the hours passed. Deep, steady, safe. She sat nearby, doing homework she barely focused on, glancing up every few minutes just to make sure his chest was still rising and falling. Each time she saw it, her shoulders loosened a little more. He woke briefly to drink water. Few careful laps. Then sleep again. At the clinic, the kittens were doing the same thing. The rescue worker sent updates in short messages. They're warm. They're eating. They're fighters. She read each one slowly, smiling through the ache in her chest. That night, the puppy followed her from room to room. Not close. Not clingy. Just nearby. If she moved to the kitchen, he lay at the doorway. If she sat on the couch, he curled at the corner of the rug. Always positioned so he could see her. Always watching. Like he was making sure she didn't disappear the way everything else had. On the third day, he wagged his tail for real. Not just once. Not hesitant. It happened when she dropped a piece of toast on the floor by accident. He stared at it, then up at her, then back at the toast, ears perking in confusion and hope. She laughed. The sound startled him at first. He froze. Then his tail started moving faster. She knelt down, offering the toast gently. He took it with careful teeth, eyes soft, tail sweeping the floor like it couldn't quite believe his luck. "That's a good boy," she said. He paused mid-chew, then wagged harder. They went on short walks once he was strong enough. Nothing long. Just around the block. He walked carefully at first, stopping often, scanning the street, nose low, ears alert. Every cardboard box they passed caught his attention. He slowed. Sometimes stopped. She let him. Healing wasn't about rushing forward. It was about letting the past settle. One afternoon they visited the clinic together. The kittens were bigger now. Still small. Still fragile. But their eyes were open, blinking clumsily at the light. They squirmed in a pile, tiny paws pushing, mouths opening in thin cries. The puppy sat beside her, posture straight, eyes locked on them, watching. When the rescue worker lifted one kitten gently and brought it closer, the puppy leaned forward, sniffed once, then sat back. Satisfied. "They're doing great," the worker said softly. Thanks to him. The puppy didn't react to the words. But his tail wagged anyway. At home, nights became quieter. The puppy slept at the foot of her bed now, choosing that spot without being told. If she shifted in her sleep, he lifted his head. If she sighed, he did too. They learned each other's rhythms. Her routines. His needs. Healing wasn't dramatic. It looked like routine. Bowls filled. Blankets washed. Sunlight pooling on the floor where he liked to nap. One evening she sat on the floor beside him, back against the couch, scrolling through photos on her phone. She paused on one taken days earlier, the box, the sidewalk, the puppy guarding it with everything he had. She felt the weight of it all then. What could have happened? What didn't? She rested her head gently against his side. He didn't move. Just breathed. Just stayed. "You're really brave," she whispered. The puppy thumped his tail once. That was enough. Healing wasn't about forgetting what had been lost. It was about honoring what had been protected. Together. Quietly. Every day. Time did what it always does. It softened the sharp edges. Weeks passed. Then months. The puppy grew, slowly at first, then all at once. His legs stretched longer. His coat filled in, glossy now, warm brown and white, catching the light when he ran. The nick in his ear stayed. A small signature of who he had been before everything changed. He had a name now. Came easily. Like it had always been waiting. And he answered to it. Not just with his ears or his tail, but with his whole body. With attention. With presence. The kittens found homes. Good ones. The kind with photos sent back. Soft couches, small hands, sunlit windows. Each update brought a quiet smile, a quiet relief. The girl showed him the pictures every time. He watched. Every one. As if committing them to memory. Their walks became longer. More confident. He no longer stopped at every box, but sometimes his pace slowed when they passed one. He would glance at her just once, checking in. She always nodded. "I see it too," she'd say softly. They learned each other's language. The way he leaned just slightly into her leg when he needed reassurance. The way she paused before crossing the street without thinking about it. At night, when the house settled and the lights dimmed, he slept closer now. Not guarding. Not watching. Just resting. One evening, months later, she sat on the front steps as the sun dipped low, painting the sky in pale orange and lavender. He lay beside her, head resting on her foot, eyes half closed. The street looked the same as it always had. Same sidewalks. Same houses. Same quiet rhythm. But she knew better now. She knew what loyalty looked like when no one was watching. She knew how instinct could rise in the smallest body and hold steady against exhaustion and fear. She reached down and scratched behind his ear. He sighed. A deep content sound. "You saved them," she said softly. "You know that, right?" He didn't lift his head. Didn't need to. His tail moved once. Slow. Sure. The bond between them didn't feel loud or dramatic. It felt anchored. Rooted. Like something that had always been there, waiting to be revealed. That day on the sidewalk didn't turn him into a hero. He already was one. It just showed her what quiet courage looks like. What love does when it's given a choice. And as the evening settled around them, girl and dog side by side, there was no doubt left at all. Some bonds aren't formed through grand gestures. They're built in stillness. In trust. In the simple decision. To stay.